Perfect time. Could not be better. I couldn't tell you last time I had like last year I was in Indy, we played on Christmas Day. So we just moved Christmas a day later. I don't think our kids knew, but it worked out for us. My kids are little enough that it's like,
Whenever you tell them open presents.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all good. So
Getting the win out like you guys did on Thursday, that kind of game where the conditions, you're driving to just get points. I mean, what does that kind of show you about the offense? Because I'm not sure there's been many games like that this year.
yeah, I mean that's kind of what we talked about day one when we met. We don't have a name for the style of offense we are. We want to be whatever we need to be to win a game. And we kind of knew in those conditions we needed to run the football and do that well. And we needed a short passing game to play in the wind and the weather and things like that. So we've kind of grown to a team, an offense at least, that can play whatever type of game is necessary to win. If we need to go out and throw it, we want to be able to do that. If we need to hammer the ball, run the ball, protect the football, like in a game like that or a situation like that, that's what we want to be able to do. Whether they know it or not, as a defense, that's how we want to execute. So, I think it shows growth as an offense from that standpoint, but, it's all part of a continuing process.
And then Walker Little, seeing him just play a four-quarter football game. What are your impressions of him?
I thought he did a really good job. It wasn't easy. Those are good pass rushers over there in New York. Carl Lawson does a good job. John Franklin Myers. Those guys are good players. We're not in a ton of positions where we had to drop back and throw the ball. So that's something you still want to continue to see from Walker in the development of it. But in terms of, handling the elements, handling good pass rushers, having to run the ball, dropping back on third down when we needed to throw it and things like that, I thought he did a good job.
When you came back from Denver, or was it London, the Denver game, it was pretty much Christian Kirk. If you took Christian Kirk away, you made life difficult on the Jaguars passing game. And then all of a sudden, Zay and Evans showed up.
Right.
Was that a concerted effort on your part at that moment in time? What was the turning point that all of a sudden those guys elevated their game?
Yeah, I don't think that was necessarily a concerted effort in any way, shape, or form. That was just kind of, we felt like we were always built that way. Christian had the bigger games early on, but we felt like we had anybody at any moment that could do it. I think we're one of two teams, at least we were a couple weeks ago, that had 4 different players have over 100 yards receiving. So that's something we feel like we've got the guys to do it, Obviously, Christian, Zay, and Christian, Zay, and Evan have really kind of been the targets and the talk about, but we feel like Marvin Jones can go off at any moment, and he's done that in games. Jamal Agnew, there's Dan Arnold, these guys that, given the right opportunity or the right situation within a game, can have explosive games for us. And I think a part of it's just Trevor operating the offense. The ball finds who the ball needs to find based on the way the defense plays us for any particular play. And so as he's efficient running the show, that's what we envision. We envision all 5 eligibles being a target at any given time and the ball going to the right guy.
So chicken or the egg here, but was it Trevor's development that unleashed all of them, or their development, their rise that unleashed him?
Probably all of it. All of it combined at the right time, I guess. But certainly Trevor. That's maybe 1A of it. Of Trevor's just comfortability with the offense. Maybe even us as game planners and play callers having a feel for what everybody's really good at as we go through this. You have an idea what you think you're going to be going into a season, going into each game, and then everything kind of takes on a life of its own and expresses itself a certain way. And so you got to be able to adjust and adapt to that. And I think we've done that. But as Trevor, just gets more and more comfortable, trust the system, trust what he's seeing, plays with conviction, plays with the confidence he's kind of playing with right now, then everybody gets involved, everybody gets a little piece, and that's what we want to be as an offense.
And as a coach, what did you learn coming down here with the Colts last year about getting a team ready to play against a team that wasn't playing for anything?
Yeah. Well, it's this league. You talk about it season to season, week to week, game to game, drive to drive. It doesn't matter. If you don't approach this the right way, you're going to get humbled quickly. And we know that. That's happened to us as an offense, as a team this season. So regardless of the outside noise of what's on the horizon, what's next week, what's this, I think we've done a good job of keeping our guys. And our guys, part of it's the type of people we have on our team, of staying focused. All we can control is how we practice on Thursday today. We have no control over what's going to happen on Sunday, anything like that at this point in time. So let's do everything we can to prepare ourselves to have the best possible Thursday practice, get things cleaned up, ironed out, continue to move forward, and when tomorrow comes up, we'll be ready for it, and we'll take care of that.
You're talking about those receivers a little bit, kind of building off of that. You got a lot of new faces at receiver. Haven't had that much success in NFL history when you have that many new guys at once. How hard is it to bring together those pieces into the offense, everybody kind of learning it? Does it help that you were, I guess, installing the offense for everybody at once. But I mean, new receivers, 3 of
Yeah.
them, all on pace to kind of put you guys in a hollowed history in NFL, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly starts that really this whole group, the core group was here since day one. So the day we put in our first pass concept, all these guys that are really having an impact for us were in the room at the same time. So we've kind of built this thing, and it's morphed and evolved into what we feel like puts everybody in the best possible position. Now, the biggest part of this thing is the character of those guys. The guys that are involved, the quarterback, everybody being able to handle a lot of things. We can put a lot on their plate because they're professional in their approach, their day-to-day process, the way they play, the way they can adjust within the game. And then they're also specifically targeted for everything we knew about them. You know, we felt like coming into this thing, we have a young quarterback that needs a ton of reps. And so we targeted guys that, from everything we knew, were always available, loved to practice, loved the process, time where we could get time on task on the side. You know, and then we kind of knew through our course of time together that those reps would take over and would kind of, you'd start to see it manifest itself now, where the chemistry seems like it's super high. Well, if you've got guys that are often injured and can't practice and missing reps or taking themselves out, you're not going to get that for a young quarterback that needs that. So that was a big part of it, and we've had some challenges we've had to overcome, and we've worked through it together, and everybody's kind of hung together, and you know, you're starting to see that pay off late in the season.
Can you think back to that first Texans matchup for a second? How frustrating offensively was that? You moved the ball, had a ton of yards, but not a ton of points. What can you kind of learn from that outing to take into Houston this week?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that the first play I think of, obviously, is the turnover in the red zone. You know, you cannot ever take off an opportunity to get points on the board. If that drive stalls out, you're kicking a 32-yard field goal, getting 3 points, which in a game like that was kind of a slugfest there, that's what you need. You need every point. And so we took points off the board. We took an opportunity to get points off the board there. So that's the first thing you think of. But then you just go through and you watch just some little miscues, whether it was we barely missed a pass, we dropped a pass, we were wrong on a progression, we were slow on a progression. Whatever that may be, it just feels like that was a long time ago. We've grown a lot since then. But like anything, that Week 5 matchup has nothing to do with this week. You know, you don't get to carry that over. The good, the bad. Well, in that situation, it's a good thing we don't get to carry over because that wasn't our best foot forward. But the same thing, the success we've had the last couple weeks, that doesn't carry into this. You've got to show up. You've got to perform. You got 3 hours on Sunday to execute your best.
How has the Texans' defense sort of changed or evolved maybe since Week 5? You said, everything's sort of changed since then. How have they changed?
Well, I mean, obviously they're better at what they do, and they haven't changed schematically a ton, and that's kind of the same they were last year under Coach Smith. But I think everybody just gets better. You get more time on task. You get more, and their defense more looks at repping against the way teams are trying to attack you. You see the same types of pass concepts as things go. It's still primarily a zone coverage unit. Now, we obviously got a ton of Tampa 2 in that game, which was even more out of the ordinary than they'd done because we could never get them out of it. We didn't execute well enough to get them to feel like they needed to play something different. So, that's kind of the chess match going into this thing. How much are we going to get of that? How much are we going to get of the single high zones we see on tape? And, you're kind of playing back and forth. You've got to have enough ammo to be able to answer whatever they want to play.
What do you have to do to sort of get them out of that coverage? If you see Tampa 2, what do you have to do in order to,
Yeah, you'd love to say, I mean, if you have a too high shell, you'd love to say you're going to run the ball really well. They do a good job moving their front. The backers playing downhill. The safeties filling from depth and making plays. So you want to make them pay in the run game, obviously, but we needed to be better, more efficient in the pass game. And there were things that we felt like we had that we missed. There were things that maybe we wish we had a few more answers, a few more concepts that we could have gotten to just because we were missing certain things. Let's go to something else rather than keep trying to hit this and just coming up short of maybe we get on to something else and move forward. Or maybe we just weren't great in the details of the play or the progression of the play, whatever it may be, of just consistently staying on the field, moving the football to force them to feel like they needed to do something else.
I think your guys' offense is number 5 in success rate across the NFL. Just considering, Trevor being a young quarterback, everybody's in a new offense. How encouraging is that for, the future of this unit?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have success, it kind of breeds that confidence in the guys to first of all trust the process. And we feel like that's kind of what we get to do every single week is test our process from a coaching staff, from players themselves to just ourselves as a unit. And so to be able to put that out there, have success, feel like we had success, it kind of gets a little bit more buy-in from our guys. And I couldn't be happier with the group of guys we have and the way they've bought into the process and the way they just attack each week. So obviously it's fun to have the success, but ultimately we're just trying to do whatever it takes to win the game. If that means we need to go, move the ball a couple times and punt to change field position, then, if that's what it takes to win the game that week, we'd love to. I'd love to tell you that every play is going to score a touchdown. I mean, that's the ultimate success for us. So there's always more to chase out there, and we certainly want to continue to do that.
Evan Ingram kind of got off to a slower start to the season. He's been on a hot streak as of late. How have you seen him really kind of develop and grow into this offense over the past few weeks or over the course of the season?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I don't know that necessarily something changed in terms of it became a priority to target him. We felt like he was playing really good ball early on and doing whatever was asked of him. There's always plays in the plan for him, whether they got called, they got executed, whatever that may be, it just didn't work out. And then all of a sudden, the first Tennessee game, he just kind of became the hot hand and got rolling. The ball kept finding him. Again, based on the way really the defense played him and the concepts just ended up going to him. He was producing. So I don't know that there was necessarily some concerted effort to get this guy going, but he made the most of his opportunities. I think the other night he had over 100, I believe, receiving. I don't think we threw him a pass past 7 yards. So that's a lot of him going and creating these plays, and Trevor being efficient with it and taking what the defense has given, and then Evan using his skill set. And the guys around him have given that opportunity to go do what he does well.
You kind of talked about the character of some of the guys y'all brought in of wanting to work hard. Have you seen that from Evan really, since training camp, putting in extra work on the side, really wanting to make sure that he can maximize what he can do in this offense?
Absolutely. He is one of the most locked-in players we have on our offense in terms of doing extra, just being committed to his craft. He's the other day we were in Episcopal. Yesterday I was sitting on the bus, and I just remember looking out as the guys were finishing up doing extra. Evan's on one knee catching tennis ball machines, just overemphasizing his technique of looking it into his hands, and just it's the extra that he does. He loves it. I think he's truly committed to being as good as he can possibly be, and so it's fun to see. It's fun to see a guy like that have success. That's kind of who you root for.
Leadership does that show for the rest of the team?
Honestly, I think we have a lot of guys that are like that. But it is great for the people that are going to be brought into this organization in the future, the young players that are, looking for somebody to follow. And it's not just Evan; it's across the board on offense. Of guys in different rooms, I could point out, and just setting a standard for who we want to be as an offense and how we want to continue to work.
Appreciate it, bro.
Thanks, guys.
Did you have your Christmas party?
Yeah, very good. How about you? Good.
Great.
I like that hat. That was different.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I don't know. How do you replace what you got from DeJuan Smoot?
It's going to be tough. He's one of the guys that we look to make plays, and we just have to have the next man up mentality. And, we got a couple of guys that are ready to step in and get opportunity to play. But Smoot, he did a great job for us, and we wish him a speedy recovery, get him back soon.
Is Dixon one of those guys, maybe? He hasn't really gotten much of a shot, or is it Caleb on Chase on? Where are you looking to really?
Really, there's a bunch of guys that will have opportunity. Could be Dixon, could be, definitely going to Caleb have opportunity. But just whoever we have, just like we said, next man up will get the opportunity.
How do you take a guy who's a former first-round pick with high expectations, who hasn't produced, and get the best out of him? Caleb Bond was the 20th pick of the draft, and in the 2 years he's been here, he's either been injured or he hasn't produced a lot. So what do you see in him, and how do you get the most out of him?
Really, what you see, very intelligent player. He knows the system, and he's working on his craft. Daily he goes out there. He had the setback with the injury. Now he's back healthy, continue to work, and he's just a guy that, given this opportunity, has to take advantage of it. And hopefully we're looking forward to him doing it.
So you weren't here when they drafted him. So do you see him as a first-round pick and say, well, that's a pretty good jar on the shelf that I've got to go get, or is he just another one of the guys to you?
No, I see the talent. You see the speed, you see the size, you see the ability. He can drop into coverage, he can rush the passer. So there's so much ability there. You can see why he was drafted there. It's just, time for him to become the player that he was in college, become that player now.
In your career, have you ever coached someone like that? Come across a guy with high expectations that had underperformed and seen them transform?
Well, a lot of times you have guys that are drafted at a certain spot, and then certain things happen, whether it's injuries or They come in with a veteran guy in front of them. Just different things. You know, you really can't, compare guys or put guys in the same position as other guys. But Caleb, what we see from him, we like it. We like the way he comes to practice. We like the way he works, and we like what he does on the field. We just hopefully he can do it more now.
Darius Williams, I think, over the last 2 weeks has allowed like 2 catches on 12 targets. Just like how well has he played for you guys, and what has it meant for the secondary?
It really goes hand in hand. D. Will, he's done a great job these past couple of weeks, and earlier on in the season, it's a pass rush with the coverage. He has tight coverage and allow the pass rush to get there. When the pass rush gets there, it helps him out in coverage. So it goes hand in hand, but he's doing a good job for us, and we're happy.
Why does he seem to excel more outside than he might have inside? What's sort of the differences there that you've seen from him to make him do better outside?
I think really it's, like we talked about, it's a combination of pass rush, speeding up the quarterback, the ball coming out on time. But I think he feels comfortable in there. He's able to study one opponent, study him at one position where inside you're playing left, you're playing right. You're playing with stacks. You got guys crossing. Now he's able to just sit back and study his opponent, understand where he's going to be, and he does a good job of taking that away.
Is that sort of what you guys saw on tape when you watched him before you brought him in as a free agent, just his outside ability, and then obviously you moved him inside, but now you move him back outside? Really,
the thing, when we saw him, we saw a free agent that had skills to cover, and we just wanted to get him here. Get him here and let him, whether he plays inside or plays outside, depending on how the rest of the guys are doing, just have somebody that can go out there that we like his skill set and let him go out and play.
If Trayvon's back this week, how big of a lift is that for your defensive unit?
Oh, it's always big. Just to get him back in the locker room, get him back on the field instead of on the sideline rehabbing, just get him back. I think it'll be a boost for the guys because, it's just – the way he makes plays, the way he plays physical, it adds a boost of energy to the team. And, to get him back would be great. Hopefully he comes back.
And what sort of progress have you seen from Devin Lloyd now that he's back in the lineup and getting mixed in more and more?
I think Devin he's starting to play like he was earlier in the season. The plays are starting to slow down for him. He's making adjustments. He's making moves. Him and Chad are really just going in there. They're rotating, and, both guys are playing well for us, so we're happy with that position.
How difficult is that, the jump from college to the pros for that linebacker position specifically? And then obviously your defense relies upon those guys a lot.
Really, when I look at it, the college game is a lateral game. Everybody's 4 and 5 receivers. They're going sideways all the time, zone read here, zone read there. In the NFL, they do run the ball at you a little bit more, so it's an adjustment. You have to read, you have to see pulling guards, where in college you really just see ball, go get ball. And it kind of helps when you're able to slow it down, understand reading your keys, and learn how to play linebacker in the NFL. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes guys grab onto it real quick, and those two guys are doing a good job of picking up what we need them to do.
How do you prepare for an offense like Houston that's intently going with the 2-quarterback system?
It's kind of tough because you have to find out. You really have 2 game plans. When 6 is back there or 10's back there, just understand who's back there, what they like to do out of certain formations, what they like to do when one quarterback's in, or if the quarterback's split out. Is he a threat or is he not a threat? So just different ways that they try to affect the defense, but we'll have a plan for both guys and, go out and try to execute it.
Has there been something that's really sparked your interior defensive line? I mean, early in the year, they were Devon, Roy Robertson-Harris, Foley playing great. As of late, they've been kind of back to really controlling the line of scrimmage. Was there something that kind of changed?
I think when you go back, you look at those guys work hard. And in practice, you see it. They're on the sideline before practice, during practice, getting extra work. And I think it's paid off. Those guys are penetrating their gaps, pushing the pocket, and handling the run game, which that's what we stress, and they're doing a great job of it.
Is there anything you guys changed schematically to get them in better positions, or is it just a matter of they just went in and did their job a little better that day?
I think a lot of times people talk about scheme a bunch, but what we do is what we do, whether you're doing it from a 3 technique or doing it from a 5 technique or doing it from a shade. That technique is going to be that technique. I think they're getting to the point where they're trusting the technique and they're believing in it and they're putting their abilities into it, and it's paying off for them.
When you say, like, this is what we do, going into the year, you had a handful of guys that either hadn't played a whole lot of snaps, were very young in their career, and you saw the talent, you knew that they had the chance to be good. But now you're almost through this season under your coaching and the staff's coaching consistently. How have you seen the growth? How does that change what you have to do? And, I mean, even see the confidence from them on the field?
I think first thing, like you said, the confidence. They know that they're good players, and they've been good players all their lives. Now they believe in it, and the scheme is a scheme. You're going to go out there, whether you're playing a 3 or you're playing 2-gap. We don't ask guys a 2-gap, so we let them understand that we're going to allow you to get upfield, get off the ball, wreak havoc, and they're trusting that, and they're doing it, and it's paying off for them.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it, Mike.
Thank you, guys.